All right, folks. So just wanted to let everyone know we've had 4 people that have politely reached out to me and said that they will not be able to make it today. And for that reason, we have decided to record our meeting. And I just wanted to let you all know that this meeting is being recorded. It is only going to be shared with guildies. It is not meant to be a public thing. So
She said she was 18.
Oh, it's not my Foot Locker, I swear.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing. Sometimes people just need to get stuff off their chests. Alrighty. So we've got a couple of things to discuss. The first and foremost, the one that everyone's most excited about, is raid. We are starting raiding next week. So 1 week from right now, this very moment, 9 p.m. server, we are going to be in Molten Core. We are going to be raiding. We may not have 40 guildies in there because not everyone might be leveled, and that's okay. We are going to start with a few pugs if needed, and we hope to get everyone in as soon as possible whenever they're ready. As we mentioned from the very start, we are well aware that people have lives, and we encourage them to have lives and families, and that should come first. And
Nice.
if they need more time to hit 60, then that's okay. That's not something that will be punished. What people were concerned about was loot in this raid and composition in this raid, and I wanted to address a couple of those things. So first is going to be composition of the raid, simply because it's going to be simpler. Composition of the raid is not something we're able to predict right now. As we've seen in the past, asking people what they plan on rolling and what spec they're planning on being well ahead of time may not necessarily come to a positive fruition, simply because life happens and they might not make it to the raid, or they might change their mind, or something comes up. And that's okay. We're not here to punish anyone for that. I'm just saying that planning ahead, too far ahead with too many details, has rarely been successful, and we're not going to do that. We are going to, I hate to say this, but fly by the seat of our pants day of, see how many guildies we've got, and we'll pug in whatever we need. Pugging is going to be something that we're going to be doing regularly. Not a lot of pugs. We will include a few, maybe 1 or 2. It's going to be our strategy for potentially recruiting you folks that would like to join us. And that's okay, because we are going to encourage new people to come in. It's going to help people see we are indeed raiding. It's going to act as marketing instead of spamming, hey, our guild is recruiting in trade chat, because that is irritating and not very professional. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to welcome people and subtly recruit that way through pugs. I hope that's okay with everyone. Just 1 sec, I'm getting a call.
Is she reading? You sat beside her and they asked her to read it to you.
It's weird. My mom shouldn't be calling him.
You get her to
Tell her she's interrupting the cult meeting. He was about to get to the Kool-Aid part.
Mom, we got shit to do. Come on.
I think she pocket dialed. That's okay. It's on my wife's phone. My wife is in another meeting, hence why my voice is so low. And she's
When does her guild raid?
I just thought you were sensual.
This is Asmer raid leading. So.
Can she try out? Because there's different ways we can get her to press learn. Liza, write it, drawing.
Okay. I'll let her know. An hour? Thank you. sorry, guys. I'm getting my wife's phone here too. Okay. So we're not going to stop recruiting until we have a set group of people that regularly visit. And even then, we're going to welcome recommendations and friends of people, things like that. But we're just not going to be actively recruiting. So our goal for actively recruiting is going to be continuing what we've been doing thus far. We are going to show a professional post on the forums to entice like-minded individuals to join us. And if we use big words, typically it discourages the ADHD crowd. Not to insult anyone with ADHD, but rather to insult a specific group of individuals that we are trying to avoid.
Like me.
I agree. Yeet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so were there any questions about recruitment at this time?
How's the DKP gonna work with pugs?
We are going to roll. Everyone in the guild will roll on an item. And if the guild wins, then we will deal with DKP. And if the one of 2 or 3 pugs that we decide to bring along with us win, then they get the item. There will be certain items that will be reserved as per the council. And we will cover that when we talk about loot and DKP. So pugs will not have access to specific best in slot options or recipes, simply because they are here with us, and if they don't like it, they don't have to come. Furthermore, if they do want to come, but they'd like access to them, then they can join. Okay. Any other questions about that right now?
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds fair.
Alrighty. So raids, we are looking to start on Tuesdays, right after the reset. So it'd be Tuesdays at 9 p.m. That's been something that we have established about 10 months ago now. And the objective behind that is to make sure we have anyone that we bring along is going to be saved early on to our raid, and they won't be enticed to run something different and get saved to somebody else's run. And this is especially useful if we are looking to include pugs. That way we'll have a larger selection, and pugs will be more likely to join us on a Tuesday as opposed to a Monday night when most of them will be saved. So Tuesday is the ideal night for raiding. We don't want to raid too late, so 9 p.m. is the pre-established start time. We don't want parents or people with kids to need to stay up late, because that's not necessarily fair to them, but we don't want to have it too early because we want to make sure that little kids are already asleep and they won't bug you. Does anyone have any issues with the raid time on Tuesdays?
You mentioned the start time, but not an end time. Is there one scheduled?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You mentioned a start time, but not an end time. Is there going to be a scheduled end time?
There is no end time. Once we start raid, we do not stop. Raid end time is essentially going to be a dynamic thing. We are looking for approximately a 2 to 3 hour run. If we are close to downing a boss for progression or whatever, if there's a reason to stay, we'll stay. But if there's no reason to stay, there's no reason to estimate longer than 2 hour raid time. The progression nights are obviously not going to happen very often. They are going to be during new content, which is going to happen, 4 or 5 times. So don't worry about raids being too long very often. More often than not, they'll be relatively short. During Nax, that might change a little bit, but even Nax clears can tend to be pretty quick once they're on farm. So to directly answer the question, we are going to estimate about 2.5 hours plus or minus 30 minutes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Pretty good.
So from 9 to 11:30, and it's likely we'll finish sooner, but it's also possible that we finish a little later.
Okay.
Okay. We have alternative raid days. Fridays was one that was reserved as well. Friday raids are going to be essentially for any incomplete stuff. So if we need to regather for a progression fight, it's not likely we will have most of our core raiders ready for Friday. So we may not be able to continue progression on Fridays. So Fridays, I actually think are going to be more so farm nights. So if we're in tier 2 and we are spending 2 hours plus in BWL, we might utilize Fridays for clearing molten core. Once we are going through BWL so quick that we have time for molten core as well, then Fridays would not be utilized until the next, what is it? Not the next patch. Help me out here.
Phase.
Thank you. The next phase is released and we have more content.
Hmm.
So Fridays are by no way mandatory, but they can be used for raids if needed. Sundays, I know a few people are here to raid on Sundays. We've had a large European community from the start. A few folks have stopped logging on for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure why. Some of them have told me that they're just out of WoW time and are waiting for a paycheck. It's really hard to not laugh at that, but they are students and it's okay. It's just really funny. Like you wait months and months and months and months for this, and yeah. Sorry, I had to laugh at him. Anyway, Sunday raids are going to be utilized a little later on. We're not going to start them right away, simply because we anticipate a lot of players to prefer the Tuesday raids as per previous questionnaires that we've sent around. So people seem to be more interested in raiding on Tuesdays than Sundays. And once we have a few people with alts that are ready to start raiding, we are going to utilize Sundays as well. That might be in another month or two. We will play it by ear. And when the demand for the guild is there, we will start Sunday raiding. I know 2 Sunday raiders that are in the guild only for Sunday raids are here for that, but they are nowhere near 60 yet, so we're not offending anyone just yet. At least I hope not. 60, or I'm sorry, Sunday raids are still on the planner. They are just not starting yet. That's all. So once we have more content released, we will figure out how far the Sunday group is going to go, and we can use it for the alt teams, and we can use it in lieu of the Friday raids as well. We'll play it by ear and we'll see what people want. I'm saying nothing is off the table. That's all. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
All
I
right,
have a question.
please go ahead.
At what night do we raid Stormwind?
That is an awesome question. Stormwind is something that would be a great example for Fridays. So if we have no content to get through, we would use Fridays for awesome PvP events like that. And I know not all guildies are interested in that. That's okay.
PvP server, yeah.
we can grab a lot of pugs to join, and I'm pretty sure that'll be an awesome way to recruit as well. So it's not enough to have one 40-man raid if we're going to be raiding Stormwind. We're going to have two, and we're going to have a lot of pugs in there. And I'm pretty sure people are going to think that's awesome and will like to join us.
Yeah, it's great PR.
I do have 2 questions about the rating situation.
Of course.
First, is there going to be a guild website?
We have a guild website. It is laughably bad right now. I've had 2 people offer to help me with it, and 2 people crapped out on me with it. So I basically put together a website on the spot right before the open testing came out, and it's awful.
Chances
So
are,
that's in the
with
works.
the amount of people that are in this room, somebody knows that they'd be able to help. I'm sure.
No doubt, but would they want to help is the question. And I'm not going to force anyone to help.
I think it would be a great opportunity for anybody.
What's your website on? What are you using?
Oh, I just used a free service to build it.
Offer them DKP to anybody who can do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to offer DKP.
Hey, is it
To be fair.
WordPress?
I'll make it.
Is it
Garbage.
Is it HTML or is it WordPress? What are you using?
It's like a WordPress thing. I'm not
Probably
too
Squarespace.
concerned about the website simply because we don't really need the website much for information posting. Not a lot of people will visit it, to be honest. Any critical information is already in the Discord in the info tab, and not too many people visit it. Not too many people have asked about the website, and not too many people have clicked around to explore our videos. And that's not because we haven't told people it's there. It's all over the place. It's in the Discord info. It's in the Discord main. It's pinned, and it's even in the guild info here. So people
So
aren't.
you gonna make Discord like the must-have to do raid then?
Yeah, basically. I mean, the web page is going to exist mostly for a link to DKP, and that'll bring us to the next topic.
So
The
it's
second
simple. It's a
second
simple
question
setup.
is
Of course.
would be now these pugs that we'll be having and having, see whether they want to join or help out or comes of. Is there going to be any type of raid application process for raiders?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Once we start raiding, we are not just going to spam invites and let anyone who wants to join. The idea thus far has been that we are allowing anyone interested to come along, and we expect that they will filter themselves out, or we will filter them out based on their behavior and their attitudes as we play together and see who they are. So we're going to stop that trial and error process and basically have a formal application and have them apply. The formal application already exists. People have already been applying, and it'll be a link from our website, and it'll be something that we can send people to directly from the ads. The application is meant mainly to sort people and make sure that we're not getting we're getting what we need. It's not made to be a gaming resume. Right now, it exists so we can get a sense for who people are when they're applying. So I don't care if you have cleared Nax. I don't care if this is your first time playing WoW. I'm happy to work with any and everyone. So that part doesn't matter. What matters is how you approach it. And when you have a frustratingly long question, are you just going to ADD out of it? Are you going to have the patience to work through it? Or are you just going to ignore it and go to the next question?
I got a question too on that.
Of course.
Are we going to have workshops and like class leaders and stuff?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are we going to have like workshops and class leaders and all that?
Yes. Yes, we are.
All right, cool.
I volunteer as the paladin class leader.
Oh, you can't. I've got the most pally gear right now.
Rip.
Yep. I've got 2 pally gear items on me as we speak, so that'll be my job. The okay, sorry, I'm getting a couple of whispers right now. I'm trying to make sure that I answer their questions.
Yo, guys, I actually gotta go right now.
Okay.
IRL stuff, so I'll be back later.
No worries.
All right.
Again, this will be recorded, so you'll have a link that you can check it out by.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
No worries. Have a good one.
All right, you too, guys. Peace.
Quick question on class recruitment.
Mhm.
Are there any classes that just kind of like were immediately disqualifying, like if someone is a enhancement shaman or like a boomkin or whatever, like is that just automatically shadow priest? No, or is it anything?
Enhancement shaman or garbage.
Well, here's
But
the
I
thing.
need wind fury for
We
melee.
have a raider rank, and until we have someone that has proven themselves to come regularly, basically they're saying, I'm going to be the enhancement shaman and I want that raid slot. You can count on me. I'll be there every time. You don't need anyone else. Until we have someone filling that role, we are going to welcome them. So if you are there for 80% or more of the raids, you basically got a established raid spot, and we will count on you. You will count on us. And the 20% that you are not there because life happens, we will have other guildies come in for you, and that's okay. But if we only need one of a certain type, for example, if we only need one shadow priest, until we have a shadow priest that can prove to be reliable, we are going to keep recruiting shadow priests. We will cycle through as needed to welcome them and give them all an opportunity to show us what they got in
Okay,
a great environment.
that makes sense.
Okay. Enough about the. Yes, I get it. So to start, we are not going to have class leaders. To start, we are going to have role leaders. So I'm going to have people that I want to have people that have a certain role taken care of. So we're going to have one person taking care of the healers. We're going to have one person taking care of the casters, one person taking care of the melee, and one person taking care of the tanks. When we need to expand on that, we will. And when we see people shine in that spot and we think that, hey, this guy should get some help, if we've got a warlock that says, hang on, I'll stand up and take care of the casters for now. Hey, casters, move here. Hey, casters, move there. And the warlock eventually gets overwhelmed and says, listen, I can use some help. No problem. We'll look for someone to help. Okay, who do you think would be a good helper? I want that mage to help me. Okay. At that point, we'll split it up. You're the warlock lead, you're the mage lead. But to start, we don't need too much specific coordination. We will just have the groups all put together, and when we need to separate them, we will. I just don't want to assign too many jobs to too many people and have very little to do, because that would be ridiculous. We're not going to have a bunch of class leaders that have nothing to do and one class leader that's doing everything. because that's not fair to that one. And it's kind of ridiculous to have so much management that we don't need to be top heavy in that regard.
Yes.
Does that kind of make sense?
You don't want a bunch of middle managers. Got it.
I'm sorry, say again?
You don't want a bunch of middle managers, essentially, for now.
Right. If there's a need for them, if there's something that they want to offer, that's no problem. I'm more than happy to bring them in. As I've told many people this before already, people that have aspired to be officers, they told me from day one, hey, I'm here for the long haul. I'm going to be an officer. I told them, I love it. That's great to hear. And I will empower you to do anything you feel the guild needs to do. You feel the guild needs some recruitment? Go ahead and recruit. I'll give you the tools you need to recruit. I'll give you recruitment messages. I'll give you a rank that lets you invite people, whatever you need, you do it. And more often than not, these people got that rank that they needed to do their job. They did it for 2 days and then they stopped. So from that experience, I'm not going to be just offering management positions, officer or assistant positions to too many people. I want to make sure that they get a chance to prove themselves in that role. So the assistant rank is exactly that. It is people saying, hey, I want to help. And it's me giving them the tools they need to prove that they can help and that there is a need for them to help. Once they have established themselves as being a reliable helper, and if they need another rank to do more, that's where the officer rank comes in. So I really appreciate how many people want to help the guild. It is heartwarming and very inspiring. Thank you all. And when you have something legitimate that you'd like to help with, a specific role, you see a need for helping the melee learn how to stand behind a boss. If you see that, hey, certain healers are overhealing, we have a good tool to fix that with only a bit of training, great. I will empower you to do that. If you see that there's a bunch of people, a guild is falling apart, I know friends that are in that guild, they're looking for a spot, let's recruit 10 people, great. I will inspire you, or I will enable you to recruit them, and I will help you. And you do this for a long period of time, and people recognize it as being, hey, that guy does a lot of recruiting. Why is he not an officer? He clearly has recruited like 30 people. Holy crap, he should have already been an officer. Well, that's the time to get that officer rank. So it's not just being thrown out. I am certainly not sending it out to my friends. Many of you know I have my brothers-in-law are in here. Hey, Ange. Hey, Lorenz. I've got personal friends. Hey, Jay, how's it going? He's been my best friend for 30 years. Doris is not even level 20 yet. I have laughed at him many times, but he's not an officer. I am not giving anyone preferential treatment. I am treating everyone the same. So if you think I'm handing anything out, please let me know. I want to make sure that there is an understanding. We are very fair here.
I met Morris 1 week before we started Classic Release. I mean, if I can get it, even as annoying as I can be sometimes, anyone can get there. Just put in the work, dude. That's all I did.
But you're putting in 26 hours a day helping with so many things that I can't even count. So
Is there email for the guild yet?
An email?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For a suggestion box type thing.
Absolutely. There are two methods you can do that with. There is a questions, concerns, and suggestions channel in Discord that members have access to. And you can also send me an email, boris@exiledclassic.com. Excuse me, boris@exiledclassic.com. and it'll get forwarded to my primary address, and I can address it that way. So if you've got something you want to make sure gets emailed, you can do it that way. Alternatively, you can just whisper me in Discord or in game. You can send me in-game mail, whatever. Just let me know you need help. Let me know you've got something for me. You've got a suggestion. I'm more than happy to keep it confidential if you don't want to be known who it's from. That happens a lot when you have concerns about specific individuals. That's okay. I will
Well, I'm
keep it
very open.
confidential.
Everybody knows me. Shoot, I'll just say. You know what I'm saying? I'm not too shy, man. But yeah.
I just want to mention something on, I guess, a comment on your example that you provided with, you know, I guess promoting someone who might have recruited over 30 people or whatever. I'm sure that was just an example, but I feel like we need to be recruiting quality over quality over quantity.
I don't think it assumes people that are not shitters.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And
I'm sure it was
it'd be
just
more
an example. I
important
just
to me-
wanted to, yeah.
Yes, it'd be more important to me to have one good person as opposed to 30 unreliable people. So I completely agree with you on that one. But when you recruit one person and that person recruits another, you know, it's hard to recognize where this started from.
Mhm.
And I mean, if you just brought in one guy and he happens to be really good, do you really need an officer rank to continue recruiting? You know what I mean?
Right.
Officer's
Like
a pain in
officer
the
rank
ass. You
has
don't
a
want
lot more to do with recruiting, though. It has everything to do with guild management, guild structure. It has to do with, you know, not having one person deal with all the comments and things in the guild. So has a backbone
Yes.
to start building on.
And
So that's kind of where I was getting at with the whole officer thing. Like, I understand this whole recruitment thing. We need to get people there. We got to get people to raid, and then once we get a raid group, we get a raid group. That's fine and dandy. But I think also we need to start structuring a pretty solid core officers. They don't need one for every class, like you said. I think that might be too much. That's fine. But there needs to be more. There needs to be some set in stone people that need to step up, either step up to the plate, or we need to start hiring someone, because right now it just feels like it's kind of just we're running around doing it, but there's no real.
We literally haven't walked into a raid yet, so obviously there's no one to step up to the plate. It just doesn't make sense to assign roles when we haven't done anything yet. I think that's literally like we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I just think we maintain our
There
group
is an officer
because
channel in the
that's where a lot of
Discord.
people are dropping
Things
off.
are getting done. So, like, there's a lot of behind the scenes spreadsheets, debuff sheets, raid guides, and sometimes you can't see it all because only the officers can see it right now. But as we get more officers, and I believe Boris is looking at some people right now, it'll be a little more people to kind of delegate to.
I am indeed. I'm not going to mention names, but I have my eye on 4 different individuals. These 4 individuals, I have my eye on them for different reasons. They are not all nice guys. Me being a nice guy is great, but sometimes you just need an asshole to get stuff done. So I know people will think that, hey, some officers in that guild are shitters, and some will think that, no, the GM is a pushover. So I want to make sure that we've got a good balance so we can have both compassion in the management of the guild and also people to enforce things and get things done.
Just a quick comment on kind of the like class leads. I mean, I think there's just a lot of merit to like taking it upon yourself to just whisper people. So like the warlocks, okay, who's putting up curse elements? Who's putting up curse of shadows? Like you don't necessarily need a like designated person to do that. Like you can do that amongst yourself. Hunters, okay, who's pulling the incense? Who's pulling the trash? Blah blah.
Yeah.
Like that can really be done amongst ourselves.
Absolutely. And listen, hunters, you all get together and you tell me, hey, hunters need to have a meeting with you, Boris. This one hunter has been consistently helping us, telling us what to do. helping us with resources, making sure we're standing in the right spot, reminding us to get arrows before raid, and making sure we are coordinating pets and whatever. We definitely need him to be recognized as a leader for his or her contributions. Make him an officer. No problem. Done. But I do expect everyone to want to learn. I'm not going to spend hours raiding with you, wiping with you when you are making stupid mistakes over and over. That's not going to happen. What will happen, I don't mind if you raid with me for the first time, you accidentally wipe the raid, you stand up and say, listen, that was my fault. I'm sorry. I have now learned something and I am a better person because of this. Thank you for helping identify where I screwed up. I'm going to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. So when you're growing, that's fine. It's okay. It's always okay to make a mistake. And I know that if I have a more direct person that is leading the raid, they are going to help me make sure that I'm not too lenient with folks. Sorry, I'm getting too many whispers at the same time here. They're going to make sure I'm not too lenient with folks, and they're going to make sure that we are not losing people because they are frustrated that we are a noob guild catering to noobs all the time.
Yeah, it's on that note, as far as the rating goes and the what everybody needs to do, there will be a plan for every boss on a spreadsheet and on a raid sheet. So we're gonna know exactly what curses we need up until those class leaders or leaders step up that people were talking about. It'll be like, hey, you're doing this curse, you're doing this curse, you're doing this curse, the whole raid. You know, everyone will know their debuffs and what needs to be done. You pretty much just
Hey, suggestion.
get ready to learn.
Are we going to do videoing on our progression?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely record our progression to make sure that we can review it and see where we went wrong for our personal improvement.
Now, can we also put like a note to try to do something like for like PR, put it in for like our own videos of down the boss, you know, kind of like they do. Reddit and shit like that. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. And there's one person that has done that several times for us already. He's made a couple of videos and he's gone above and beyond whatever my video capability is. And I imagine he's going to continue doing that for us because he seems to really enjoy it.
Awesome, brother. Who's that? Who does that? If they don't mind.
Just verifying to make sure he's okay. Okay.
So it's a guy.
Not yet.
He's not yet a guy.
The pieces are falling together.
It's okay. It's me. You can tell them.
All right. So yeah, the recruit. Wow, we just covered like 4 topics right there. The videos are definitely going to be done to make sure that we are reviewing them and that we're not screwing up. But for Molten Core, I don't think that's going to need to get done too much. We can definitely record how awesome we are and flex whenever we have, you know, a flawless kill and put that as a PR thing.
Are we going to be doing any events and also recording events?
Yes.
All right. Okay, cool.
Well, events being things like the
raiding on Stormwind, you know,
yeah,
make like
PvP
little
events.
Day in the neighborhood of Goldshire, you know, slicing and dicing.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Stealth invasions would be fun too, man.
Alrighty. Okay, attitudes. I wanted to chat with you guys about attitudes. Sometimes it's really hard to see in text when we're kidding and when we're serious. I'm just hoping we can keep the text attitudes and inside jokes. They are awesome. I know they build community, and I don't want to say don't have them, don't do them. What I am going to say is if there's something that could be misinterpreted or could hurt someone, just make sure whoever is privy to the conversation is not going to get offended, or if there's a chance, just don't say it. Just say it, whisper it to your buddy, or say it in Discord, something like that.
On that note, I know a lot of people, it's happened a couple times already. With the conversation, we encourage, theory crafting, conversation, all that stuff. Not everyone's going to agree. It's good to have a debate. But if it starts to get out of hand and a community watcher or an officer says, hey, it's time to change the subject, don't push the issue, guys. Just move on from it.
That's an excellent point. Thank you
Because
for
at that point, it's like talking politics. You have people that aren't going to agree at that time. People need time to cool off. Let the subject go. If a leader, anyone in the leadership says, hey, move on. And then we can always revisit it later. If you have an issue with an officer, go to Boris. If you have an issue with the community watch, come to me or Boris. Other than that, have fun.
Cutting in and out, bud.
Sorry.
I heard everything.
Yeah. Really on my
Okay.
side, then. Sorry.
Also, from the other lens, guys, girls, sometimes people are going to say dumb stuff. I know it sounds dumb. I know it can be offensive. Please try to understand. They're not necessarily trying to offend you. If they are, by all means, come to me or go to Gank or talk to someone in the community watch. It's unacceptable to insult each other, outright insult each other, flat out unacceptable. But if we're kidding around and we're not trying to insult each other, we're just saying dumb stuff. We're all adults here, guys. Come on. Let's not get too offended by dumb comments.
I think the important part is, especially if we're trying to recruit someone and we need this class, I think that's kind of maybe where we don't want to piss the wrong people.
Exactly. If we maintain professionalism, I know it's not going to happen all the time, but I'm going to ask, if we maintain professionalism most of the time, people will see that we are serious and will also understand that once in a while it's okay to goof around.
To this day, in this entire fucking time we've been playing, we have only had to remove one guild member for being completely inappropriate and over the line. We all walk that fine line. Everyone does it. But
myself
just
included.
know where the line is. Don't go too far. There's some things that just are never appropriate.
And I mean, at the same time, people don't feel afraid to speak up. If something offends you, say it. Just be like, "Hey, that's crossing a line," and then you need to deal with it. Closed mouths don't get fed. If something says something and that personally offends you, speak up and say, "Hey, that offended me." Don't say that.
I've done it already in guild chat when people were talking, and someone whispered me and said, "Hey, this is really making me uncomfortable. It's time to move on from the conversation. We're not doing this right now."
Boris.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go do the dishes real quick. When I get back, if it's cool with you, 2 things maybe, and then go from there.
All right.
I was just wondering. I'm gonna go do them real fast, and then I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll probably still be here yapping. Okay. So we can get to the details of a raid in a bit. Let's talk about the loot. I know so many people are really curious about our DKP system, about our loot council intervention, and what we plan on reserving, how we're going to handle loot, especially when we have pugs involved, especially before we have DKP to spend, and how the ranks come into play. So let me help clarify this. Okay. First and foremost, we have a DKP system that is going to. Oh, congrats. We have a
Forrest,
DKP
before
system.
you go into DKP, because I know you're going to get really in depth on this, you mentioned the website as a resource to be able to see DKP. It is very hard to get people to even do required add-ons sometimes for WoW, let alone go to an external website. Is there any way we could set up something on Discord, a spreadsheet of some sort?
There's got to be a Discord bot
Because
for it.
Discord is pretty much
Google Doc.
required.
Just Google
Okay.
Doc it.
So the short and long answers are both yes.
Okay.
Discord is going to have the spreadsheet posted, and the spreadsheet is not necessarily going to be a permanent thing.
I just want to make sure it's available to everyone and people are able to keep track of the DKP. Maybe the people that don't go to the external website, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
There
Discord
was an
voice is
add-on
required
in
for rating, so we know that they'll see it.
Yes, I'm
either.
aware of the add-on, and that's why this is likely temporary. We'll see
Yeah.
how the add-on works. And if needed, we will modify the code of the add-on to match our needs. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now let's get everyone back on that page because we kind of jumped ahead. So we are going to have a DKP dragon kill point method in which people will be earning points for bosses. Whenever we down a boss, you're going to get points. Whenever loot drops, you are going to use those points as a currency to buy stuff. That's how DKP works. If you need more details on it, I'm happy to go into it with you one-on-one, and I'll show you where you can read on about it. But it's fairly standard for most World of Warcraft players at this point. So the DKP is going to have a decay system on it. The decay is going to be a very high percentage. So you're going to be earning approximately 12 DKP for every boss kill whenever we have progression level bosses. So if we are in tier 1, every tier 1 boss will be worth 12 DKP. If we're in tier 2 progression, tier 1 bosses will be worth less and tier 2 will be worth 12, and so on. The decay process is going to be kind of a DKP tax. Every week, just as DKP is earned, DKP is also going to be lost. A percentage of your DKP, currently it is
20%, I think you said. 30K?
I don't remember the exact number. I'd have to look it up. And right
It
now
was 20
Excel is
last
being
week.
slow. Let's say 20 just for shits and giggles. So we're going to have a 15 to 20% DKP decay. This means that whatever DKP you have, 20% of it will disappear. If you have a little DKP you just earned a little bit this week, you're going to lose a very little DKP. This is why we earn
When
12
is
and not
actually calculated? Is it before raid, after raid,
after
boss?
raid.
Those points get decreased because you weren't there consistently.
So this is why we're earning 12 instead of 10. I don't want to say we're going to earn 10 and then the first week's earnings don't get decreased, because that's just going to be a pain. So we're going to earn 12 and we're going to lose 20% so that the math is actually simpler and everything is more straightforward. Every week you're going to lose 20. If you decide, hey, I'm going to save up all my DKP because that one item off that last boss is going to be the best in slot for me, I'm going to save up for it. Great. You can do that. You can. Go ahead. Save up for it. Here's the problem. As a guild, if everyone has that mentality, nobody's going to be picking up raid loot from the first few bosses. Everyone's going to wait for the last one. Now, if the last boss is so strong that we need the raid loot to down him, we are never going to down that boss because no one's picking up the loot to make themselves stronger, to make the raid stronger so that we can down that last boss. It will hurt the guild as a whole. If you hoard your DKP throughout the raids until the last boss so you can get that one item, you can do that. However, it's going to cost you. The 20% decay hurts people less if they have a little DKP, and it hurts people a lot if they have a lot of DKP. Eventually, after several weeks, you are going to hit a ceiling, which means you are going to earn just as much DKP as you are as is being decayed. So if I don't buy an item for, let's say, 10 weeks or 20 weeks because I'm saving it up for this one item at the last boss, then I'm going to earn 20 DKP, and I'm also going to spend 20 DKP just on decay because I've saved up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you can bank DKP to a really, really high level, but you
That
also
makes
may be
sense.
hurting
But my
yourself.
question is now, so say said chess piece drops and say said class says, I'm saving up for that last piece
Mhm.
and no one wants to bid on that item and it's a class piece. What happens with that item? Or does it get put on someone and they have to spend DKP?
That is an excellent question. The answer is I don't know. And here's why I don't know. That can be a unique situation. That can be a simple situation. It depends on the item. It depends on how many people are there to bid on it. If an item is not wanted by anyone, it's likely going to be because nobody needs it. However, if 4 people need the item, but no one's willing to spend gold or DKP, I'm sorry, if no one's willing to spend DKP on it, then that's a different story.
I think
Now
the
we're getting
difference between the two words is need and want. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Do I want that to spend that DKP on that item right now? Is what I'm
I
saying.
really don't
So if
expect.
everyone.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't expect that would be an issue or like ever. Somebody's going to spend 1 DKP or something if it's even a minor.
Yep.
I think we're talking about something that's not going to happen.
I think we talked
that's
about
also
a minimum bid of 12 DKP. That's one boss, guys. So it's one boss worth of DKP.
It's also one of those topics that's like, let's cross that bridge when we
keep
get
in
there.
mind, if you bank on
I would say it's along the line across
Against
the
other
bridge when you get
players
there.
with that?
Yeah, it's a far out from now.
That,
if people are banking all their DKP for that one item and everybody wants it, and you all have the same amount of DKP, it's going to go to a roll off, So you still might not.
I'm sorry, Varg, you were trying to say something? Go ahead.
yeah, well, I guess Gank was starting to, he finished what I was going to say. Like,
okay.
Are we going to bid against other people for the items?
Yes, you would bid, and if everybody say you're at your max DKP and the other person is as well, it is a tie on DKP. I would assume, I'm not speaking for Boris, I would assume you will roll, and the winner will get the item that week. And
This is
lose
why
the
we have.
Another question too. So what if nobody wants the item and you want it, but then you don't have to spend any DKP to get it? You just roll on it.
I think that question elicits the other question of is there a minimum bid for DKP?
Yes, there is going to be a minimum bid for DKP. This is why we have a loot council. There are going to be countless unique situations such as these, which can come up, will come up. We could sit here for 3 days saying, what if, what if, what if, what if that situation, what if this situation. So the loot council is mixed within the DKP system to make sure that if any issues like this do come up, we can address it on the spot. We want to make sure that raids go smoothly. So the loot council is going to quickly figure out that discussion and move on. So if we have a small loot council of a few people and we just say, okay, there's 4 guys that want it. They're all going all in on their DKP. 3 of them have the same amount of DKP. What do we do? Do we give it to one guy for whatever reason? Or do we just say, no, they all deserve it equally, let them roll off? Or do we say that, hey, this guy has been this guy has been flaky and whatever reason we don't want to give it to him, or even a more unique scenario, this is a great weapon. These two amazing DPS are both rolling for it, and so is a tank. Both of the DPS are threat capped, which means they cannot do any more damage right now because the tank cannot produce more threat. Giving them a weapon to do even more damage would be counterproductive because they would not be able to utilize it. Do we really want to make sure that this person gets it? Or should we assign it to make sure that a tank will get it so that we can produce more threat and unleash more raid DPS? So if it's going to give 5% more damage to one person, or if we can have 10 people suddenly do 3% more damage each, which is going to help the raid more.
Keep in mind, guys, another thing to note is there are 10 bosses in Molten Core. They drop 2 pieces of loot each. There are 40 raids. That means half of the raid is not going to get loot every single raid. And as we progress through Molten Core, duplicates of items may drop. Maybe items that people already have and nobody even needs. That's even less people getting items. So I encourage people to try not to get discouraged if they don't get an item in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks that they really want. Classic is going to be a very long experience. If you rated in vanilla, you know you might not get that big item you want for weeks or maybe months, you know. It might not drop for 5 weeks, and then you might not win the roll. But if you think of it with a long game mentality, I think you'll be a lot happier overall than if you stress about the short-term reward. It's just a very, very different grind than the WoW that's out now. And it's been 15 years. A lot of people that didn't do private servers, including myself, are still going to take time adjusting to that. So patience is something that's going to be rewarded and kind of neat.
Can I make a sort of a request? I guess you mentioned earlier you already have the people in mind who's going to be leading the raids. I'm pretty sure a lot of people already you might have even. I'm not sure if you've announced that or not, but either way, whoever it might be, can we just make sure that those people have the proper equipment so that everybody can hear each other? Like communication is key, especially when shit hits the fan. If they can have headsets and not speakers, and as far as like talking over each other, I'm just it's going to be very important when shit hits the fan that everybody is able to communicate what they're seeing and needs to happen quickly, and then B, comprehending it fast as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
One thing that I'll state right off the bat, I will not be raid leading, if there's any question about it. I'm doing some behind the scenes stuff to help organize the raid, but I will not be speaking in the raid. I am not a raid leader. I'm a raid assistant.
We all
and I will have
appreciate
a
that.
headset
Thank you.
for the raid, so don't worry about the stupid speakers you hear right now. It's sitting on my desk.
And I'm not obviously I'm directing that to you right now, but that just means anybody that might have anything to be saying from a leadership perspective in raids. I think it's imperative that we have that.
Discord has a feature that will silence or quiet down everyone while keynote people are speaking. The raid leader will have this feature active for them during the raid. Push to talk will be mandated for everyone except for the raid leader. The raid leader is meant to be heard, and if you need to say something, you're welcome to do it. Go ahead, push to talk, say what you need to do. Holy crap, we have ads. Needs to be said. Holy crap, it's enraged. Trank shot was resisted. Next, that's okay. You say that. Holy shit, I just farted so loud that I think my eye is bleeding. Not really something that needs to be said during a raid.
I disagree. If your eye's bleeding, you should probably go get that looked at.
Somebody needs to call 911.
No, he's right, dude. We all joke.
It's a joke.
We all have fun, but when raid time comes, it basically comes down to we're older now. We all have lives. We don't want to waste our time, and we don't want to waste your. So we're going to keep the channels clear. We're going to go straight to business. We're going to get in. We're going to get out. Get back to having some fun afterwards.
I've advertised this guild from day one as a semi-hardcore or semi-casual, whatever you want to call it. The point is,
Semi-hard.
we're going to have fun when we're not in raid. We're not treating this like a job that, holy crap, if you're not here, you are G-booted. That's not what we're doing.
All right, I got a question on that note.
Of course.
Now, since you all say not semi-hard for hardcore, right? So are we gonna have our options for like PvP and like twinking and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Maybe PvP teams, stuff like that.
There will be organized PvP like a son of a bitch, and if that has to be me, I will be the rabid dog of the group.
I'm more interested in that. I like the raiding too and stuff. But I like that, but I would love to be part of the PvP stuff.
We advertised as a PvP, PvE, and raiding guild, but I can tell you right now, from most of the people I've talked to, and most of the people that I go out in the world and do quests with and approved with at my level,
I wouldn't mind taking a role in that. That's cool if I could talk to you separately.
So if it's okay with you guys, I just wanted to finish that thought. We advertised as a particular kind of guild. We are going to make sure that we respect people having lives. We're not going to punish people if they can't make it to raid. We get that. That's okay. We're not going to make it mandated that you must be here X amount of days. We're not going to make it mandated that you must have X amount of pre-raid buffs. But we are going to take raids themselves seriously. We want to make sure that we are not wasting everyone's time, because everyone is here those that are in raid are most likely there for the raid and want to take it seriously. They're not there to mess around. If you want to goof around, maybe our raid is not the time or the place. So you might want to give that a consideration. So while we're in raid, we are taking it very seriously. However, if you need to miss a raid, we are not treating you like a high-end guild would. It's okay.
Okay, that's cool. I got a question for PvP though.
Of course.
Are we gonna have a separate group for PvP? Like a group of just PvPers? Or
Hey,
like
I got a suggestion on that. I'll take lead on putting together groups and stuff if you want.
There we go. I think we just got one. I think he
For
just
sure.
answered your question.
All right, perfect.
I'll be running a pre-made as well.
Hey,
I'll
so
be-
if you want interested in PvP, come talk to Blackwaters and I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty. Yeah, because I'm interested in both aspects of PvE and PvP.
I love
but,
twinking.
you know.
Twinking's my thing, baby. That's what I'm about. But I'm more. I like World PvP too. I like to put a lot of together for that. So
Every single person here could have chose to roll on a PvE server. They didn't. So I assume that, at least to a small degree, most of us want a little bit of that PvP act. Maybe it's big amounts, maybe it's small amounts, but we all picked a PvP server. So everyone's got
Well, if anyone's really interested in it, come talk to Blackwaters and we'll get
good.
Thank you, Black.
Hey Boris, quick question on the decay.
Yes.
Is that going to hit the entire guild whether you're in raid or
Yes.
not? Okay.
It would not be fair if
you go on vacation for 2 weeks.
if I'm away and I've kept my DKP and people that have been raiding have reached a cap and we're still at the same DKP. That's not fair to those that have.
No, I totally
been
agree.
online.
That's actually what I was hoping.
With
There
decay,
are two things,
essentially,
Boris, I don't think you addressed that we talked about
Mm-hmm.
that I would bring up, and you can let me know if you've kind of. One of them was, will there be a bonus, a small amount of DKP for being at the raid early and
That
ready
is
to go?
the next thing I wanted to bring up. I've
And
had
the
two
donation.
whispers and you on the same topic. So DKP is not only earned from bosses. DKP is going to be earned two other ways. Number one, you're on time, you're ready. What does that mean? It means you're going to be 15 minutes ahead of time at the raid, ready to hit the ground running. Okay? It means you are going to make sure nobody's waiting for you. It's going to mean you are repaired, ready to rock and roll. Warlocks have your shards. Hunters have your arrows. Tanks, you have your off spec or your resist gear, and so on. Everyone needs to be ready. When you are ready, you'll get a bonus DKP. So if you're late, I'm so sorry, you will not be privy to that bonus.
It's a
This is
small
going
bonus,
to,
but it does
it's a
add.
small bonus, but it will add up, exactly. So the idea behind that is we want to encourage and give a tiny edge when bidding for those that respect everyone else's time. And I understand sometimes it's not a matter of whether or not you're respecting people's time. Sometimes you're just not able to, and that's okay. But if you're late, you do impact other people. And we do not want to encourage that.
Can I get a clarification on that, by the way?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the clarification I'm looking for is late being if you're actually late that you're charged DKP, and that if you're on time, then you're just not going to get bonus DKP?
No, you will not lose DKP. You will not be charged DKP for being late. Life happens, and I will never punish you for life happening. I'll never kick you from the guild because life happened. I will never charge you DKP because life happened. That's okay. Now, if you do a raid hissy fit after people tell you to shut up because you're making a hissy fit, you're embarrassing yourself, and you keep having a hissy fit, and you're going to make unnecessary drama, that's a different story. Sorry, say again? Yeah, we can barely hear you, but we can hear that you're trying to say something. We just don't know what you're trying to say.
It's all good. Carry on.
Okay. So the other way to earn DKP is you help the guild. So whether you're helping by rating, by respecting others to make sure that they are on time, or by donating. Everything sent to Exiled is being sent to the guild bank. The guild bank is maintaining a little bit of gold. It's up to about 9 gold now. We're killing it. Yep. We've also got a couple of small items that needed that were submitted for disenchanting. Any really good items that would be a waste to disenchant are still there, or I spam them in guild until people take them. And that's essentially what the guild bank is used for. So we're making sure that items there are utilized well. You're not going to get DKP for sending nonsense items like incidental greens, like, wow, here I found 2 greens in this guild run, here you go. No, you're not going to get bonus for that. You do something over the top, here's some Arcanite bars. I went out of my way. I bought the I bought the arcane crystals, and I had them crafted. Here's a couple of bars. Here you go. That's a significant donation. Wow, thank you. That'll earn it. Now, here's some greens that I happened to find along the way. I'm sorry, we do appreciate that. It is appreciated, but it's not necessarily groundbreaking. If you're going to say, okay, look, I respect that tanks have additional costs, or hey, Boris, I know that the tanks need flasks, and Boris, you have given everything to the guild, so you are always poor. I'm going to give you a flask. That is a personal thing for me. I appreciate that. I will take it for the guild bank. It may not necessarily go to me. It could go to another tank. We'll assess the situation when it comes time to use it. But that is a significant donation and will be appreciated. It will be rewarded with DKP. So when you give something significant, it is going to be recognized. But if you're just going to give a couple of small things here and there, it's not necessarily going to be recognized, but it is still appreciated. Now, you do small things a lot over time, that's going to get noticed. So you always throw in a couple of greens. Every day you throw 2 greens. Every day you throw a couple of high-end herbs. Every day you throw in a bunch of ore. That's going to get noticed. So over time, that will accumulate to a few extra DKP, but not necessarily instant DKP. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Quick question about that.
Of course.
Would it be viable at all to make a spreadsheet of like maximum DKP extra per week and then have like donation amount?
There is no need. It'll be 12 per boss, and you can have 1 for being on time and 1 for your donation for the week. You can calculate that on your own.
Now,
like for instance, if I was going to donate like 20 herbs or like 20 gold or something, like is there a maximum weekly increase you could?
1 DKP.
Yeah, it's not the donation DKP, like he said, and the on-time DKP. It's not big, but it adds up. If you donate a little bit every week, you get your 1 DKP. Say it's 20 gold or something. It helps. You get 1 DKP. If you're on time, that's 1 DKP. Over 6 raids, that amounts to an entire extra raid boss right there. That's 12 extra DKP as if you downed an extra boss that the people that just don't want to put the effort in, they're not going to have.
So
that
if
might
you're
give you the edge
going
to
all
that
in,
if you want.
exactly. Sorry, I interrupted. You were going the same
No,
place I wanted to.
you
Go ahead.
A question was brought up that we didn't address in Guild while we were talking. Somebody mentioned that if you are on time and ready to raid, but we are a full raid, which I think we're far away from having a full raid 40 members, will there be DKP awarded to somebody on the quote bench that was forced benched?
Bench is something that will be earning DKP. Not always, but can be. You are late to the raid, and you were replaced by someone that was on the bench. Let's say you are the 1 shadow priest for the raid, and you're late because your kid's soccer practice went late because one of the soccer moms had a hissy fit, and you could, whatever. That's okay. Life happens. You won't be punished for being late by losing DKP. However, if we had to go on, if you were more than a few minutes late and we had to go on, we had to replace you with another shadow priest, you were going to be on the bench.
The bench means you're waiting for another opening.
You were waiting for an opening. That's right. Now, you are not going to earn DKP because you are late, and that is your fault. Whatever the reason is, whether it was in your control or not, is irrelevant. It is impossible for us to measure that and verify that. So the simple answer is you're not going to earn it. It's your own fault. Tough titties. Pardon that expression.
That's funny.
If,
So what if there's
you are asked
5?
to sit and we are 45 people and 5 are saying, yeah, we really want to raid tonight, and we have extra people, well, we're going to need to bench people. That's a different scenario altogether. When we have people that were ready and we just don't have room for, I'm so sorry, we don't have room. For whatever reason, we have selected that we've asked you sit out, you can sit out. Now, if one guy says, no problem, have a good night, guys, I'll see you next week, that's okay. He's not going to earn any DKP. Now, if one person says, no problem, I'll be on standby, you let me know as soon as someone drops, I'll be right there, that person's getting DKP. Because even though they're not in the raid, they were ready to raid, and throughout the entire raid, they are ready to jump in at any time.
Being on the bench means you're prepared to be pulled into the raid. You have to sit for the whole raid time and be ready to be pulled. I would even add to that, be geared and ready to pull in. Just not be like, hey, I just hit 60. I want my DKP for sitting around. the raid. Like, put a little effort in first, and then meet the minimum requirements.
Absolutely. And for those worried about the other way, because sometimes life happens, you're late, you're not going to get penalized. Once again, you're not going to get penalized. And I said we are semi-hardcore, which means we're not going to mandate you to have raid buffs. You're not going to be mandated to have the Ani buff. You're not going to be mandated to have the DM buff. If you'd like to do that, frickin' A. Okay? You are pretty much guaranteed yourself to get a prepared bonus for that week if you do that. Okay? So we're not going to penalize people that choose not to or simply don't have the time to. That's okay. But those that choose to, you're going to get that bonus DKP. Does that answer your question?
Do you have a system in place to keep track of the 1 DKP for contributor? Because I know some people want to send gold, some people might send Arcanite bars, but some of it's not going to be visual. Say a guy like Maston, he's tanking Upper Blackrock Spire and he runs 15 guildies through that week to help them get their best in slot stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a take it at your word situation. How do you want to go about tracking that? Do they just message you and say, hey, this is what I did this week? Is it enough? What else do I need to do? Or how do you want to go about the other contribution ways that aren't visual that you can see with your guild deck call?
That is an awesome question. And just as the what if this scenario, what if that scenario with the loot, I don't have an answer for every situation.
That's fair.
We will take it piece by piece, and right before raid, when we have that loot council, I'm going to say, okay, guys, this person donated this person donated that, this person donated a holy shit amount of stuff. I'd like to award DKP to these people, and someone's going to say, hey, yeah, absolutely. But I also want to talk about this one guy. He ran me, he ran this person, he ran that other person, or I didn't see him run it, but he whispered me. We're just going to ask right before we start raid, hey, everyone, who is in so-and-so's runs this week? And you get 10 people, they all jump up saying, hell yeah, we were in that run. It was awesome. Suddenly, you've got grounds for bonus DKP. You know what I mean?
I would note you don't have to be a tank or a healer to help other guildies out. You could be a high gear DPS that doesn't really need shit and just run that stuff with them. So I guess the answer to my own question would be, if you feel like you've done your contribution for the week and it's not with a tangible item that Boris can send a message to an officer, send a message to Boris, say, this is what I've done this week. We'll note it. We'll bring it up before the raid when DKP is awarded.
Mastim, is that a question toward this discussion? Or is that a question
That was
related
a
to... Sorry, say again?
That was a joke.
It was a joke. He's sarcastic as fuck.
Sorry, I can't always tell when people are joking in text.
Just assume if it's Mastin that he's being fucking sarcastic as fuck.
Okay. Okay, so the last part about loot. I've had a few people complain about loot already. They're saying that certain items should be reserved. They're saying that certain items should not be reserved. They're saying that certain people should be exempt. They're saying that certain scenarios, they're saying certain... Holy shit, people, get off your high horse. Loot will drop, okay? It'll drop again. It'll drop again. One person will get it. The next week, someone else will get it. Eventually, you'll get it. Yes, the first mom is reserved. Screw you.
Low-key jab.
My point here is I don't want loot drama over
stupidest thing.
people feeling entitled.
That goes back to me talking about playing the long game, guys.
Yes,
this is exactly. Going to be a long experience. We're going to be a community together for multiple years, maybe. This might run 3 years, before they go into a BC. And that's even if we decide to consider this your extended family. Some will come, some will go, but Don't look at the 2-month game. Look at the 3-year game. It's
Thank
gonna
you for
be a
that
long
wonderful
run,
answer.
guys. Just have some patience.
Now, on the other hand, I've had this discussion, and it wasn't people whining, it was people presenting solid and reasonable information, and they had reasonable explanations for it. So a few have said that sometimes tanks can need things and should be exempt. A few people have kind of actually looked at me personally and said, "You're the main tank. You're the guild leader. What the hell? Everything should go to you first so that we can unlock everything else for the raid. If the main tank is the best, then everything will be smooth and it'll be better for the guild." And I thought about that. I really thought about that. And I'm thinking, I need to maintain a fair loot practice. Yet what they're saying is true. It's absolutely true.
They are trying to be fair,
And it would be in the guild's best interest if the run is as smooth as possible. So what I've thought about, and this is open for discussion, what I've thought about was allowing everything to be fair and on par. And if for some reason we are stuck because the tank is behind, we'll have the loot council step in and take an item off the chart, off of the bidding, and say, no, we absolutely need a tank to get this. Now, I'm not saying this because it's coming to me, and I've had someone else that wants to be main tank, and I didn't say no to them. What I said was, we will be tanking together. A main tank is assigned not to the guild, not to the raid, but to the fight. So we will have different specs, and if one spec will happen to be stronger for a boss, then we will switch out the main tank. So we're not going to have a one main tank that is funneled all the loot, because that is bullshit. That is not.
Always going to come before the end of the We have to progress.
But here is the part that makes it fair, okay? If something has to go to a tank for whatever reason, the tank is not exempt from a DKP charge. The tank will be charged the DKP for what the item is worth. The DPS is saying that item is worth 100 DKP to me. I will spend 100 DKP. That's the highest bid. And the loot council says we acknowledge that's the highest bid and that's what the item is worth right now. It needs to go to the tank so we can unlock more content for the guild. We're going to give it to the tank. The tank has 8 DKP because it's Boris and he's retarded. But Boris, we need to give you this item. Boris, the item is worth 100 DKP. We are charging you 100 DKP, which means you're going to be negative 92 DKP. This negative will be a rare thing that can happen. I expect it not yet. 92 DKP minus, exactly. I don't expect this to happen often, but if it needs to happen, it can. And we will make sure that the loot council is aware of who this is happening for, because we don't want to give this to someone that, just started with the guild last week, because they're going to be like, hey, there's no way I'm going to get loot for 2 months. All right, well, I got the item. Peace, I'm done. I'm out. Bye. We want to make sure that this is happening to and for someone that is trustworthy. We want to make sure that they will pay their debt to the guild, to the raid, to the DPS that were asked to pass by the loot council. Now, the loot council is also here for 2 other reasons. We want to make sure that the DKP, which is obvious, can be manipulated. We want to make sure that they don't. No, I didn't, sweetie. Can you please get them for me? We want to make sure that DKP bids are fair and is not being manipulated. Let's say, pick a warrior, any warrior. I hate tiny nips because I like cone nips. I'm a cone nip guy, and we have race wars. So I hate him for that reason. And I know Tiny Nips is going to need on a certain warrior item, and I've got more DKP than him. I am going to screw him and bid on that item even though I don't really need it and he really needs it, and I'm just going to screw him over. That's when we want the raid council to step in and be like, all right, look, this is not fair. This is a manipulation of the DKP system. We're going to step in and make sure that thank you for that. We're going to make sure that we step in and ensure that the bidding is fair.
Alternatively,
Speaking of warriors, I was just thinking there's a lot of warriors in the group, and I know that not all of us are going to get a spot, so I don't know how that's going to work with the bench.
All right then.
What movie you watching, buddy?
having a little bit of a melee heavy raid, you know, if that's what we have on the roster, we will work with it. We're only going to know what we have as raiders when people actually step into the raid. It's like I said before we started this game. I said it a week before launch when I joined this Discord. I said, look, some people are going to talk a big talk, and some people are actually going to get there and get their feet in the raid. We might have 13, 14, 20 warriors in this guild. I want to see how many make it to 60 and actually make it into the raid. You know?
So Varg, you have an excellent question, and that's going to be based on loyalty. 100%. Someone that's been here since day one and leveling a warrior with us since the beginning, they're going to get priority over someone we just met. I'm sorry, it's true. We are. We respect our raiders. If someone just came in and is like, yo, what's up, bro? Give me raid now, or I'm in a piece. That's a choice they're going to have to make. We respect our warriors. That goes for every class. We respect our raiders that have been with us from the beginning. They have supported us and helped us from the start. They're going to get a raid spot. Now, Varg, just because you brought this up, if after 3 weeks you decide, yeah, I'm just going to PvP, and whenever raid happens, I'm not really going to give it my all, and we notice a decline in your performance, we might reapproach that situation and say, look, Varg, is it okay if this week you step out and let someone else in, and we try someone else if they happen to be way better? Sorry, Varg, we've noticed a decline in your performance. We're thinking of replacing you with this other character. If you're no longer interested in raiding as much as you did, we appreciate that you helped us thus far. And if you just want to raid casually, that's okay. We'll bring you in when we need, and we'll replace you with this other guy. Now, Varg suddenly wakes up and says, whoa, I'm being replaced because I'm lazy? Okay, hold on, let me get my shit together, and I'm going to help a lot more. We'll test that theory. If 3 weeks later you are lazy again, we know we're not going to be able to trust you, and the person that we tested and we thought was really good, we're going to promote them.
Another thing about the Loot Council, just to keep things fair, that I brought up to Boris, is he is looking at, 4 other officers. So there will be several people on the Loot Council.
I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Give me a second.
I got one more question on this whole raid bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, down the road, I know you guys are going to be focused on one time frame. Is there going to be any chance that you guys could get a nighttime?
A nighttime raid?
Our raid is a nighttime raid.
We raid at 9 p.m. Eastern.
You're cutting out there, buddy.
Got connected right in the middle of that. So let me re-ask that. So
sorry, go ahead.
Just from daytime, nighttime, there's a lot of different people that are on different time zones. Are we ever going to have nighttime officers or people that could get stuff going at nighttime?
If there is a bunch of people online late at night and you guys want to do a 20-man raid, go for it.
All right. Can we get promotions going for nighttime, bro?
Yes, of course.
Can I get some whatever you guys got caps and stuff already made up, or can I make my own and just go with it?
No. You absolutely can make your own.
All right.
You absolutely can. And listen, you're raiding or you're leading a raid that happens regularly for ZG. You've got 20 people that are loyal to your raid, or you got 10 people that are loyal to your raid, and you're constantly bringing people in. You're basically getting guild raids done on a regular basis for guildies. Yeah, that's basically you're a raid leader.
Yeah, I'm pretty much talking about for PvP and stuff too.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that if you're talking about adding extra raids, don't poach half of the raids molten core lockout for a different lockout and mess up the actual raiding.
No. I'm talking about like time frame because you guys are going to be doing it like what you said, 9 server time.
It's pretty much asking.
We did that because most specific people will be off work by then. It's 6 p.m. in California, and most Eastern people, it's 9 p.m. for them. You could do 2 or 3 hours of raiding, and you're still in bed by 11:30 or midnight. It kind of hits the spread.
I'm talking like Asian, UK, Australian time type thing.
It's hard.
He's asking on the polar end. He's talking like I don't know what time he's saying
Yeah.
exactly, but he's talking about RA. If there's enough demand for it, can he make a raid for that AM slot?
The answer is yes. You make a raid for that slot. Yes, we will empower you. Just as I said earlier.
Okay, cool.
When you're helping, when you see a demand and you want to help fulfill that spot, I will empower you to make sure you get what you need to do that spot to fulfill that need in the guild.
All right, I'll talk to you later then.
Absolutely.
Jake just doesn't want you to pilfer raiders off the main group.
I've had a couple people whisper me now about the whole loot council thing, so if I can get that over with, because I don't want to.
Okay, so let me finish the last point about loot council that I have written, and then we can turn it over to you if you have anything else to add. So the loot council is not going to be a set amount of people. It's not going to be a group of buddies that get together and be like, let's make sure that we get our shit together. No. The loot council is going to be made up of primarily officers, yes, but not entirely. The officers taking part in the loot council for that week will rotate. We're not going to have the same officers in charge all the time. And we are going to do a roll-off, and we will select a random person in the guild, not an officer, a random person, to join in the loot council for the week. So they can
one of the questions.
Be there to make sure that the loot council is not biased. They're going to be there to make sure that the loot council is diverse, and we are going to make sure that everyone's needs are common voice. Exactly. That's exactly
The only question you haven't answered that I've been whispered is if somebody is on loot council and the item is for them and the discussion is about them.
This is why we have multiple people in the loot council. Guys, I'm bidding on this. I cannot be a part of the loot council. Thunder Fury dropped. I'm sorry, I cannot be a part of this loot council. I'm going all in for the binding. If the loot council needs to step in, go ahead and step in.
Yeah, that was the question: is what happens if an item comes up and it's someone on loot council? My answer would be, if an item comes up and you are on the loot council and that item pertains to you and you are in the discussion, you will step out of the room for that discussion. You won't even be in there to have a voice in the conversation. You will be treated like any other member that's rolling for a piece of loot or being considered for a piece of loot.
Are legendaries planned to go through DKP like everything else?
I believe legendaries are not part of the DKP system, to my knowledge.
Legendaries are going to be going through the loot council to make sure that they go to people that need them. If a hunter is saving up for the binding and has more DKP than a warrior that is main tank or has been tanking every raid and does not have Thunder Fury, I'm sorry, hunter, we're going to need to give it to the tank. But the hunter can still bid on it to determine what the binding is worth. Now, if the hunter is is bidding on it after the tanks have Thunder Fury, this is a different discussion altogether.
Let me throw out a different example, because Thunder Fury I think is pretty cut and dry that it generates a shitload of aggro. It's a main tank weapon. I think most people get that. What about Atish, for example, where you could make an argument that warlocks, mages, priests, everyone should be using it?
Since it's so far into the phases, it's a Naxxramas weapon. Let's see who's put the most time into the guild, the most effort, made the most raids. Like, that's a long way out to have that.
By Nax, we're talking years.
That's a long. I mean, we'll get there, and we'll see who's even still in the guild at that point.
Listen, if we got a priest that's in the group right now, they're in this Discord, and that priest has been with us for 80% of our raids, and no one else has that seniority, I bet you a lot of DKP, a lot of gold, that priest is going to be the first contender for Atish. Now, if that priest has been here forever and has a 20% attendance rate, that's a different discussion altogether.
It's like
But
you get what you put
we
into
are
the
indeed getting a little out of hand with, excuse me, we're getting out of hand with too many details of things that aren't yet relevant. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to refocus on the last thing so we can wrap up. Okay.
Hey, Boris, real quick.
Mhm.
I think kind of a hierarchical theme that you can kind of get from everything saying is they're going to do the right thing. So group it into that, and all your questions are answered.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, last thing. I know I just said we're getting too specific. This is actually going to be very specific about raids. We are looking for a list of mandated add-ons. So enemy cast bars need to be visible. We found a really good add-on for that.
Classic cast bars.
Right, classic cast bars. We're not going to G-boot you if you don't have it, but we are going to very highly recommend it.
Deadly boss mods, obviously.
DBM is going to be mandated. If you screw up in raid and you keep dying for stupid shit that DBM would be able to solve, you're going to be expected to have it. If you don't have it, and there's a solution, we're going to recommend it. If you don't get it, you might not get a raid slot later.
I won't be able to do add-ons because my computer won't handle it.
They're very lightweight. Are you playing on your phone?
No.
Do you guys have phones?
I'm on an older computer.
At the end of the day, for the most part, all that's ever usually going to be needed, not even required, but needed, is deadly boss mods, maybe enemy cast bars, and another one that has not released yet, but has stated they will be ready in the next month or so, is a threat meter. A threat meter is going to be very important as far as classic rating goes, because you will yank threat off tanks if you don't wait a certain amount of sunders, if you don't watch the threat meter. Threat's a very, very real thing in vanilla rating, unlike in retail where you hit the boss one time and you go AFK and that boss stays on you the whole time. So a threat meter, when it does release, is probably going to be a very useful tool for you DPS that are big dick DPS just ripping charts.
I'm pretty sure if DPS are performing at those levels, they're aware of their threat. If they're not aware of their threat,
meter, bro. Just to let you know, they got that out already.
I'm gonna need a salve.
I forget the name
I know
of the
Omen is not ready yet, but Omen has put a statement out that they will be releasing a classic version.
okay,
of Omen.
listen. I don't want this meeting to keep dragging on. We can talk about specific add-ons throughout the week, and we will publish a recommended and mandated add-on list right before raid. So please, under the suggestions or questions or concerns, go ahead and post your recommendations there. We will look at them all, and we'll have a list for everyone. Finally, the encounters and debuffs list. Some debuffs that people have are not going to be acceptable. simply because there is a limit to how many debuffs a boss can have, and some are less valuable than others. I understand that they might be a major part of your DPS, but putting it on will cripple the raid and not enable something more important. I'm sorry if I use the word more important and you got offended. It's not that you are less important, it's that the debuff you are casting is less important for the raid.
What I'm
So
hearing is
there
hunters have
is
to have
a
The problem is if you put more debuffs on than the maximum debuff, it overwrites another debuff. And we don't want someone, say, storm striking when nobody needs to do nature damage and adding that debuff to the boss and it removing Sunder Armor, which is a disaster for the raid. So there is a 16 debuff minimum on boss, and we do have a chart of those debuffs and the importance of them.
perfect. Well said. Thank you.
People will be assigned their debuff. If you're a warlock, until we get this whole thing rolling and you know your job, you will be told this is your curse for next warlock. This is your curse for this raid. If you're a hunter, you are doing Hunter's Mark. That is your debuff. Warrior should know you are doing Sunder Armor. If you're not assigned a debuff, don't throw corruption on the boss because you're going to yank off, and that's just an example. That's a warlock spell, I believe. It's a dot. But there's a certain number of debuffs, as we get later on, Nightfall, things like that. We got to prioritize certain things to maximize our efficiency in the raid.
Thank you, Gank. Maestro, you said you had something to contribute?
Yeah, I just wanted to, say something along the lines of encouraging, the lower levels, just because those of us that are approaching 60, pretty quickly, and there might be some pugs out there that might join this first couple, maybe the first raid or the second raid, doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best option for that raid slot. It just means that a lot of us have a little bit more time on our hands, right? And who knows, if you're available and you eventually do get to 60, you're available during raid times, and you prove to the raid or to the group, to the guild that you are the better option, then I just want to kind of mention that, right? That opportunity is still there. Don't be discouraged just because you're lingering in the 30s and 40s. You're close. You're almost
I
there.
absolutely
Keep it
agree.
going. You're
You
going to
gotta
be
understand.
the lifeblood, basically, of the. Right now, we're only going to be able to fill 20 spots.
If you've ever been in a raid guild, you'll
And then the
know
other,
that raiders come and go.
yeah,
So
and
slots
I've
fill
had
up
the
and
fortunate
out.
opportunity.
Gank, let him finish,
I've
please.
had the fortunate opportunity actually of re-rolling in a brand new server as a warrior back in vanilla, so I know how this thing goes. These next few weeks are going to be crucial. If you're level 30, 40, you're going to be 60 by the time that we are filling our last couple of raid slots. So just keep it up. I just wanted to mention that. And then the other piece is, I think we kind of already covered it. Boris mentioned it, but I think we need to reiterate it. Be ready for raid. Like, bring your pots, bring everything that you need to bring. Don't learn your class. Learn your class. If you need to contribute to the raid in a critical way, in an important way, then learn how to do that. Don't show up to the raid asking a bunch of questions. And by all means, ask questions if you need to leading up to it, but there should be fundamental questions that you should have already had answered by the time you show up 15 minutes early to the raid. Those are my 2 cents.
We have class discords for every single class in the Discord channel. Please utilize them. Have discussions. Get in there and interact with the other people of your class if you have. That's what they're there for, guys. Every single one of them has a basic guide that I placed in there. It's not the best guide in the world. They're not all the most detailed guides in the world. But there is a starter guide for every class in every Discord channel. If you would like to add to that, contribute to that, please do. It's only going to help the raid as a whole. It's going to help the other people of your class as a whole. If you know more about your class, you did this in Manila. Some people haven't. Throw your knowledge in there. Share it with the world. That's why we put the Discord classes there for every single class.
Thank you for that. I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4 different whispers of people stepping up and saying, I want to help.
I love it.
I'm
love it.
loving this. Like, I'm legit almost got tears.
I love it,
Guys,
man.
I love this. Thank you. This guild is my baby. Okay. I have been running this guild for a long time. I've brought this guild to this server. We have people that have been in this guild since 2006 present. We have people that are here for the first week, and you are both equally important to me. You are both contributing to this guild. All I'm telling you is that we have been here for a long time. I am here for a long time. I am not going anywhere. If you're worried the stability of the guild, I hope that comment alone has alleviated some of your concerns. We have been here for a while. We are going nowhere but Nax.
Boris has told me before. I said, how many people before we start raiding? He's like, I'll poke 39 people if I fucking have to. This guild's going. If that tells you his commitment to the guild. I know I could be a little bit over the top sometimes. I know that some of you have thought, why the fuck is that loud asshole an officer? And that's a very valid point, dude.
It really is.
At the end of the day, I really like you guys, dude. I don't want to be disliked by anybody. I know I can be a little much sometimes.
You want to be
If I am a
disliked
little
by
much,
everybody.
tell me to shut the fuck up, dude. I have thick skin, and I'm really reasonable. I can agree to disagree with people, and I can be told to shut up, you know. I can admit my fault. At the end of the day, I do want to do my
Shut up.
Yeah,
See how
you
easy
totally
see
set
how easy
yourself
that
up
was?
for that.
See how easy that was?
Loudmouth.
Nobody cares.
He's still talking.
He totally set himself up for that one.
Can we get a server mute on that guy?
No. So, thank you for that, Maestro. You've really pointed out something that I personally am appreciating, because I'm
raiding
not
your
likely
mic,
going to be
Jesus.
60 by the time we start raiding. I'm not. I'm just not. Mastim's probably going to be the main tank for the first raid, and we love him long time for that. So if others aren't quite 60 in time for raid, that's okay. We'll get you there. And when you are 60, you'll be contributing just that much more. Folks,
there's a lot of stuff I think you could do pre-raid to kind of get yourself settled. So I've noticed a lot of like the bind unequipped pre-tier auction pieces you can get for like 25 gold. And you can wear them all less than 60. So there's a lot of stuff pre-60 you can do to still be prepared.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely right. Folks, I want to thank you all very much. I'm sorry I've been rambling for a long time. I am going to shut up. And if you have any questions, now's the time. If you don't want to say them out loud, if you want to whisper them, if you want to email them, if you want to do whatever, just now's the time to ask, and I will do my best to address them. However, I have a very angry wife right now.
I also have the same. I have to go. I'm sorry, guys. I love you. I gotta go.
I just want to thank everyone for attending this meeting. Just being here and sitting here through this whole thing shows initiative.
Indeed.
So
Thank you also for recording for us. We'll have a audio recording of me rambling for 2 hours available very soon.
With various gank bullshit all over.
Okay. Any last minute questions before we wrap up?
I got one thing. I got like maybe two things. Okay. When you were talking about you were gonna go, I don't remember if that's what you said or not, but didn't you say you were gonna go help someone basically learn the tactics about raids?
Yes.
I didn't remember if that's what you said. Okay. To that point, if I ever do, I would like to see if you could do that with me. Because I mean, I have raided, but I'm brand new to this classic WoW.
You've
So I
done
don't.
the very first and most important step. You've asked for help. How can I ever refuse that? You've asked for help instead of showing up and saying, yeah, I know this shit, and then you screw up and you screw over 39 people.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. What is acceptable is you saying, I need help, please help. I bet you that you cannot throw a stone in this chat and not get a bunch of people jumping in to try and help you.
Yeah. 1 second. And another one more thing. I remember the other one. Oh, when you were talking about I don't remember what the one guy said word by word, but it said something about classes. So many warriors in the in playing WoW in general. Is there any classes you really like request for the raid, or
What we need? We don't know right now.
Usually healers.
Typically, what we're
What you
going
need is
to
out of
need
every class.
are going to be healers and casters. Those are usually the most difficult spots to fill. And if you are not sure what you want to roll, you're not sure what you'd enjoy, I recommend you try a few classes before you decide.
Yeah.
And if you're asking what we are recruiting, we are actively recruiting as of next week when we start raiding. We're probably going to turn off recruitment for melee, and we're going to start recruitment for casters and healers.
Tank.
Yeah, I'm playing a mage, so the more warriors we have, the easier it is to get the loot. But yeah, I don't think loot will be a big problem.
Loot will come. If
Yeah,
loot
because we're
dropped
gonna
once,
farm
it'll
it.
drop again. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's a long-term game, guys. Long-term.
I'm currently doing a leveling a mage for this place, so and when everything gets done, Boris, is there a way that we can go into a voice channel, just you and I, real quick?
The answer is yes. Unfortunately, not tonight because my wife is mad at me. I've got dinner already cold on the table, and there are 4 angry women upstairs that expect me to join them for a game of cards.
And his
If
wife told him he's sleeping
it's
now.
something I can answer, I'd be glad to go into a chat with you.
Absolutely.
If it's something I can answer.
Sounds okay.
If you'd like me specifically, I'm more than happy to do it tomorrow if that's okay, or any other day. If someone else can do it, just throw a stone in /G in guild chat and someone will help.
Okay, well, I'm actually on a different server because every time I go to enter our server, it's just full. So
yes, it is.
That's why I was kind of wondering if if I go to and you like I do end up going to like the 60 and like you want to raid like now or something.
Yeah.
Somebody can't get into this realm because it's full. Is that really going to be an issue, or?
You do have to be able to log on in order to raid, yes.
And I guess you should probably have like team viewer
Right now,
or something.
it's full, but it's
I
not
prefer to
always
team
full.
viewer raid.
Keep in mind, the
And-
queues have gone from 7 hours to 40 minutes for the most part.
Exactly. Queues are going to continue to drop,
It's
so
not-
don't worry.
It goes back to just being early, you know? Make sure you're early
Okay,
for the
folks.
raid. Log in well.
I think the questions have settled down. I'm going to call the meeting right now. Thank you all very, very much for coming. You have inspired me greatly.
Thank you,
And
everyone.
that is absolutely no bullshit behind that dramatic effect there. That is genuine. Thank you all so much.
Well, good night and good luck with your radon card.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.